these are lights for my fish tank. Now, this one's recently stuffed itself. It works on the blue for the mood lighting at night, but will not work on the normal setting. This should go white right now if it was working, but it's not. And when I went to grab my replacement, let's turn this off while we're waiting. When I went to grab my replacement back up, you know, use until we're finished, this one has a strobe effect. I don't know if this will come up, you know, with the different hertz of the cameras, but this is flashing on and off instantly every 20 seconds. It's extremely annoying and makes me feel like I'm prone to epilepsy. So this is going to be no good. Again, the blue works just fine, which is quite upsetting. These actually plug into, there's a little transformer that takes down 12 volts. So everything down here is 12 volts along. So assuming the transformer is good, which I know because the blue turns on, we're going to go down the line. First steps to problem solving, start off at the switch. So I've just opened up the switch and you can see the solder has come off. This is the black wire. I'm not sure what the red wire. So this switch has got too hot, obviously. The brown, which is the constant, seems to be going through. So I got the cheapest meter I've ever seen in my life. I think I remember buying this. I was really stuck and I bought it from like a service station or something. But it's still got battery, so that's a plus. We got 9 volts. 7, 9. I can't trust the calibration, but that's about right. What's coming out of this transformer seems all good. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get a bridging wire, bridge them out, see what can make come on. This could be the problem. These just being in the environment have got a bit gross over time, and if I can just join these up, actually I know exactly what to use for these. If this is the case, they'll join these up, fix it up, put it back in service until I get the new one. I've got my bridging wire here. I'm just going to see what we can get to turn on. So that's obviously the blue. Ah, very promising. So it's flashing there, but I think that is a build-up of poor connection and whatnot. But we know what's going on now. We're not worried about anything. So what I've got to join these are these little resin joiners. They got like a low temp solder in the middle, and then 2 resin glue surrounded by heat shrink. And these essentially you just slide on in over the cores. You make sure the metal parts in the low temperature solder, heat it up, and it does the rest for you. Theoretically you can put these underwater. I've tried that out. If you're into that, I've got another video, but for now I'll just fast forward this and skip it. No point showing the same stuff twice. So as you can see, I've just got them overlapped here, and that's just a case of giving them some heat. And now, so if we plug it in, that's light number 1 fixed. This leads us to the second light. So fault finding, like we can play along. We know that when you plug it in, we're getting all the power there. So it's not even really a reason to look at the switch. We can come back to that, we can look at it, but I'm pretty confident that's not where the issue is. One of the big giveaways in this is everything powers on. So if we find its power supply. And now a quick shout out to SafeStyle. These guys support me and I like supporting them. It was the company was started by Tradie himself and he's now killing it. They make Australian certified safety glasses that don't look like your regular speed dealers. You'll find a link for these down the bottom, and I highly suggest that you check them out and give them a look. Support the guys that support me. This little power supply is at the point where it's saying it's had enough. So this is 1 amp max. This power supply, which is for the bigger light, can put out 5 amps. So when you chuck a 5 amp power supply on it, will it do the same thing? Because what I think there's a partial short in here somewhere, or a full short, and what it's doing is it's ripping it up just above that 1 amp, and whenever that happens, the protection in this is kicking in. Either that, or the transformer's busted out and it thinks it's putting more. So this light cycling, that leads me to believe that there's a problem with the power supply. Either there's a short in here, or there's a problem with the power supply where it can't put out enough electricity, it just can't generate enough power. And when it does, this is sucking so much power that this, to prevent burning your house down, is turning itself off. And then it will turn itself back on and put the right amount, and then turn itself off when it gets too much. And that's happening 50 times a second or 60 times a second, depending on where you live. That's how fast this sort of fault will happen. Flick, flick, flick. Different ones might have different refresh times, and that might happen once every couple of seconds. It all depends on the protection in the transformer itself. We'll plug it into the big one, and if this is the case, I'm right and I'm not wrong, it'll turn on. Well, we've got the blue. We had the blue before. That's another dead giveaway, is the blue was staying on. So if the blue is staying on and there's no problem with the connection, that must mean everything's good until you introduce the extra load. Now let's introduce the extra load. And there you have it, staying on. Whether or not a new transformer will cost as much as a new light this big, it's only a small little light. If I didn't know for a fact that it came with this one, I very much could have just swapped this out and never realised. So there is either a partial fault in here on one of these LED strips, that this is just big enough to ignore, and then with enough running, you know, it will develop that same fault again. But right now, she seems to be fine. So flashing lights and lights not turning on. Two of the most simplest, most common problems with lights like this. So I've got the board part. I don't know if you can see this, but you can see how it's just printed, and then they've just set the little LEDs in there on an aluminium backing. From visually, there is nothing to see that would say there's any shorts. The only close would maybe be one of the resistors, which there is only the one resistor. Maybe that's not working too well. But by the looks of this, I can't see any issues with anything. So I dare say this would be a problem with the transformer itself, not the board. If you could see anything, any sort of corrosion or gunk build up, or just anything, or any indication, I don't know, the camera doesn't zoom in very well, but any indication of smoke, small little burn marks, but this looks pristine like the day it was bought. Everything looks in good order, therefore chances are it was the transformer all along. And don't forget that I do have stickers for sale, so if you want to check any of them out, just check the link down below. And thanks for watching.